Facebook Live. It's been a little while. And greetings to anyone who is here with me. I am seeing a beach ball. I'm not sure if I have good enough line where I am to think it's working. So if you are here with me, I'm Eden Amadora, aka Sarah Eden Davis, or as my mom likes to say sometimes, she of many names. I am your friendly Facebook priestess, ally, sister here, just feeling a lot of love for my friends and my community and this place that we've gotten to in our collective navigation together. We're in this portal right now where there's a lot of unknowns. We're facing a lot of, hello, I'm glad you're here with me. I'm glad it's working. We're facing such an unprecedented time of not only navigating in a lot of uncertainty together, whether that uncertainty feels like it's hitting you very personally around your choices, your freedoms, your finances, your health, your connections with relations and other people. There's a lot of heightened sense of almost holding the breath going on this counting of the ballot time, this waiting to know who will be our next president. And I can feel it collectively. And I'm not going to get into too deep of a political conversation with you. I tend to dive much more into the heart and into the feelings and our human evolution story with the people I work with my actual initiates and the people that follow me. Welcome. Speaking of, one beloved that I know very well just joined. It's good to be here and to see you. So we're talking about navigating in this time when there's so much uncertainty. And not only is there's a heightened kind of almost like waiting to exhale and a feeling of a lot of our well-being, our faith, our feelings of grounded comfort, relying on an external factor, relying on some condition. So my purpose, my intention in coming in and sharing a little bit of my perspective with you is to hopefully provide a bit of a perspective that will support us to come back to a sense of, even with the vulnerability, even with the unknowns and the uncertainty, and in this very challenging, apparently divided time collectively, and especially in our country, that we can find some peace, some equanimity, and a through line, a center, a sense of home and wholeness, whether or not the outcome that we're hoping for occurs or not. So sometimes I like to use these very simple play on words that help me to anchor an awareness. And one of them is around the word happiness, or to be happy, and how much that often depends on what's happening. So the word happiness and what's happening, if we place our happiness, our well-being, and our peace on external circumstances and the actions of others and these causal points that seem to be outside of ourselves, we're going to constantly be buffeted around emotionally, and our sense of sovereignty, our sense of well-being, and I am here now in this, whatever this is mine. It's actually, I take responsibility for my own emotional experience. Whereas joy is part of being present, that even if things happen that may not be what we expect or desire or prefer, that we can still reside in a state of joy and peace and even gratitude, a higher vibrational state. So I wish to be a little bit more vulnerable and speak about some of the things that are going on in my own life. And these are not so much, a lot of us collectively are feeling like a lot is hinging on this presidential race right now. I am relating the state of uncertainty and vulnerability in my own life more to a personal relational dynamic that has found me in an extreme sense of vulnerability, where there's desire, there's hope, there's faith, there's beliefs that are being kind of brought up to the surface to be felt. And I can liken this to our relationship also with our government, our leaders, where we have this way that we often will enroll a being to represent our happiness, or even what we might feel is some kind of rescuer archetype, some place that's going to make it feel better and okay for us. So I take a deep breath with you as I recognize that all the places I've enrolled others in my life to be that have left me pretty disappointed and shattered ultimately in my journey of spiritual sovereignty. Because by and by, it is through the portal of the not knowing and the vulnerability and the trusting of my own inner compass and my own embodied leadership that brings me more peace, more presence, more ability to navigate with the unknowns. Rather than enrolling, whether it's in a relationship dynamic or some kind of political election race, enrolling someone to represent a figure of, oh, thank God, now it's going to be better. Now it's going to be okay. So we're sitting in this moment of great uncertainty together. And there's a lot of hope, and there's a lot of beliefs, and there's a lot of polarity at play going on between friends, between family members, even people that love each other dearly that are no longer even able to speak because of the level of investment and connection with their sense of safety, their sense of reality, their sense of happiness with who or whether or not who comes into power as our leader. And as I navigate this chapter with you, my invitation is to become more comfortable with the discomfort and the fact that no matter who is elected, no matter who we're in relationship with, no matter who we might have enrolled as a figure of rescuing or saving us at one point, ultimately we'll come back to this place where we choose what's right for us. We decide moment to moment what's true for us. How do we keep our hearts open and feel each other as we navigate with what's true for us? How do we stay in our humanity and our compassion and hold space for our friends, our neighbors, our family members, when what might be true for them is not true for us? Each of us is like the center of this unique, beautiful cosmology of all our beliefs and our imprinting and our feelings. So if my joy can remain intact even when I'm faced with preferences not coming to pass, or disappointments or expectations, how can I stay in my presence, my joy, and my kindness and my compassion, my humanity with others? How can we navigate through this portal and all these unknowns in connection rather than more and more division and apparent separation? This is the inquiry and the invitation. This is the ultimate test of, are we evolving into a place where we're willing to give up righteousness, righteous indignation, being right, being superior, or the illusion of being right and superior, and judging, separating? Are we willing to feel the vulnerability of not knowing? Of not knowing, if our truth is actually the big T truth, the universal truth. I like to think there's only one or two things that are really real, like the big T, the big truth. That's ceaseless change. Nothing is real but ceaseless change, constantly changing appearances in this manifest universe. and love. The diamond in the charnel ground, that which can't be broken, unconditional, eternal, divine, everlasting love. So as we navigate through this time that feels somewhat, I've used the expression bardo-like. Yeah, I've used this expression, like if we navigate through the tunnel here, we're in this together, this big transitional tunnel, this portal, or this, I like to think of it sometimes like the goop of the caterpillar and the chrysalis, where life pretty much since COVID hit has felt a lot more like, what's real? What's happening? Why? What's going to happen? There's so much uncertainty. There's so much malleability. We're navigating to the best of our ability to stay present, stay grounded, stay hopefully sane and in our humanity. And all of the grip of the mind that wants to think it knows and that then it can feel safe and in control is the same grip that creates suffering. It's the same grip that creates separation from our beloveds, our beloved human family. It's the same grip that creates polarity and war. So we're going through this portal, this birth canal, this alchemical chrysalis. What are we becoming through the vulnerability, the goop, the messiness, the not knowing? How do we lead heart first and give the need to know and the controlling, incessant righting and wronging of our mind, the bipolar, this or that, black or white thinking to our heart? So this is my ask and my invitation while you're in the discomfort. If you can take a moment to just feel, because it's so much easier to distract ourselves with more information and more discussion and more polarization and fighting and righting and wronging and judging. What would it be like to simply sit with yourself and feel? To really take a moment and feel what's underneath all of this. What does this really say in the end about who you are and who you're choosing to be? Who are you choosing to be in the middle of the uncertainty? Are you willing to risk being more vulnerable? Are you willing to risk saying, I don't know? Are you willing to dismantle the grip of the self-preserving ego mind that wants to be right, to be safe? This is my ask and my invitation, no matter what happens. Are you willing to continue to listen to the deeper joy of your heart song and the calling of your soul, and to allow your creativity to flow no matter what happens out there in the big outpicturing of media and the public political scene? We need each other to soften the shields of our hearts and co-create and to continue to awaken, because this particular passage is not an end-all and a like, oh, phew, okay, now it's going to be okay. There is more and more uncertainty to come. There are more big changes to come. We are shifting an entire age. We are in a great turning. In the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying and in the Tibetan dream yoga practices, they talk about following the clear light, following the rigpa, or the clear light through the bardos, through the darkness. And in the bardos, we're faced with all of our desires and all of our fears, and how it pulls the ego, the mind, the identity. How do we stay closer and closer to the center and to amplify that clear light and to lift that lamp together through this dark tunnel, through this time of uncertainty? This is another invitation for you that I feel we don't know how until we risk touching the fear, touching the discomfort and alchemizing it again and again. So thank you if you've joined me, if you're here. I love you. I am here with you. I'm in the uncertainty. I'm in a very vulnerable moment of my own exploration of heart and in life. And whether we're being triggered, or I like to call it the rub for the pearl of our soul polishing, is really getting like harder and faster. We're all in this together. We're all feeling more, and the intensity is not going to suddenly pop and lighten up and be complete when the ballots are all counted. So stay with yourself. This is my reminding me through reminding you to stay with ourselves, to stay with our feelings, to stay with this uncertainty and unknown with breath, with patience, with presence, with kindness, with our humanity. I'm just tuning in. It's good to see you here, Kathleen and Diane. Love you so much, sisters. Marina. Yeah, I'm so curious what's in your awareness as you sit in this time with all our sensitivities. We feel each other. We feel the contraction. It's almost like the birthing pains. We feel the collective contraction. We feel through this portal. We've just gone through All Hallows Eve, Day of the Dead. Samhain portal is still ripe. It's the time of our ancestors here, also guiding from beyond the veil. We've just passed through this potent full moon. There's many aspects that are happening on the greater, vaster level working with us as we awaken and evolve. And I'm continuing to hold this time as an incredible evolutionary portal of transformation, even as uncomfortable as it is to keep saying thank you, thank you, thank you. I embrace you, I accept you, I allow you. All the changes in my own life in this last year, all the uncertainty, all the instability, all the unknowns. So again, I'm here with you in my heart, in compassion, breathing. A shamanic teacher, friend of mine used to say, give your mind to your heart. Again and again, give your mind to your heart. It requires courageousness and vulnerability. This is where the word vulnerageousness came in. Are we willing to be vulnerageous together and to take each other's hands, neighbors, beloveds, friends, families, no matter what happens? Are we willing to step deeper through this clinging and need for our safety, to feel like, oh, you're with me, right? Because we believe the same thing, so I'm safe. We have the same ideologies, so we're going to be okay. Can I be with you in our diverse and vast spectrum of differences on multiple dimensions and lead with you side by side, heart first, in our humanity? This is my prayer today. This is my invitation today. I'm just beaming you so much love. Aw, good to see you. Good to see you. It's been so long, Emma Jane. Aw, so much love, sister. And for all those joining later, I would love to hear what this brings up for you. And if you're here with me live, if there's anything that's resonating, our medicine, when I say the word medicine, it's like shadow and light, where you're being rubbed, where it's really challenging you to stay in your heart, where you're actually like angry, where you feel disillusioned. All of it is welcome. All of it. That is that fuel for alchemy, to name it, to touch it, to hold it with compassion, and to be witnessed. I had an initiate client yesterday talking about vulnerability, and she said, vulnerability requires a loving witness. It really requires that aspect. When we're by ourselves, it's one thing to just feel and grieve and hurt or rage, but to really be vulnerable, it's to be met. It's to be seen and to allow that energy to come up to be held. So I am here with you in this moment of uncertainty and vulnerability for myself, and I'm holding you, whether I can see you in your eyes or hear your voice or not. That's the limitation of Facebook Live. I prefer Zoom for this reason, that we can actually see and hear each other. That being said, we're here on the etheric. We're here together in this. We are all here in this rub for our soul polishing. So we breathe together. I'm breathing with you, feeling you. I am another you, in Lakesh Alakin. And as all great saints and masters say, there are no others. I remember seeing this movie. It was one of the first kind of I think it was in the early 2000s. It was an animated sci-fi movie that was, I wish I remember the name of it. It was off of a video game, and it was a intense movie of war. And I don't watch those kind of movies anymore. It's just too hard on my nervous system. But I remember the scene where these two armies, they seemed to come almost from different planets, and they were charging and marching towards each other. And it was just one looked so different than the other. And they got head to head. And then one side took off the armor and had the same exact face as the other, and was looking like in a mirror. So this is a little metaphor to leave you with right now. I love you, and I just wish you the most deeply breath-filled continuance of this evening. May you feel deeply and know yourself as beloved as I continue to navigate in the unknowns with you. Much, much love. Bye for now.